go. That's on. Yeah, I'll get back with you later, Taylor. It's the joke that Tracy and I have is like, we need someone just to manage the social media.
Oh, sure.
Oh, good grief. Oh, and she says hi, by the way. She had to work.
Okay.
And
I was
which
wondering
has
if Tracy
become
would
a
be
bit
here.
of an issue. Yeah, a poor thing. She's like, oh, I can't come in again. I'm like, hey, I always schedule my classes not to be on Tuesdays, so I can come in and do these things.
Oh, she teaches here?
She's a children's librarian in Midpoint Library.
Okay, gotcha.
Speaking of computer, and forgive me for turning my back to you.
No, it's part of the job.
Just trying to get... You with me? You with me here?
With ya.
I remember one of the first times I saw them do this song was a Dayton Music Festival several years ago. Early on, Yellow Cab had just opened.
Oh, wow.
And Joe is just singing his heart out, and he walks away from the microphone into the crowd, and like the crowd parts, and we're all standing around him. Tears are streaming down his face. We're all crying. I look at Tracy, she's crying. I look around the room, everybody's crying. And he's just, and I'm like, I'm losing it, man. I don't know why I'm losing it.
There have been so many magical moments at that place. Even just a couple of years I've been here, I have.
And it was just amazing.
Yeah.
It was just simply amazing.
Hey, do you have an extra copy of those questions?
I do not. I did not.
That's all right.
But we can leave it.
Let me read through it.
If anything's out of bounds, just cross it out.
No, I just wanted to let them cook for a minute.
Oh, it seems like the least I could do is to show them to you. Going about a minute and a half.
Okay.
Going a little less than a minute.
Okay. These are all great questions.
So you control how loud the headset is, or you don't have to wear it. It's totally your call.
Okay.
I usually leave it about halfway up on here. So if it's too loud, just turn the knob down there.
Okay.
Or it needs to be louder.
Okay, gotcha.
The 1984 Draft, Honest. Just a fantastic song. We were talking off air about how emotional Joe Andrell is when he performs, which I absolutely appreciate. Before that, Salvador Ross, Black Cat, from their amazing Mystery Head record. I was just talking to Kyle this weekend. He was at the Yellow Cab Tavern to check out the amazing show that the New Old Fashioned Mr. David Payne put together with Ohio and Frontier Folk, Nebraska, and just an amazing set. And Kyle was telling me that there's progress on the next record. We can't set a date or anything, but there's progress, and I, for one, am really excited about that. I'm also excited. My good friend Megan Fiely is here in studio. We have our Facebook live stream happening at your Tuesday afternoon alternative radio show page over on the Book of Faces. So go take a look. We've got some of her artwork here in the studio, and she's going to let you know how you can get that because you want to. Megan, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is cool. It's a little different for a visual person to be on the radio. So I brought some friends along with me. I have my aliens over here, my painting sitting next to me. I was thinking back to, musician friends that I've seen on Facebook Live doing this show, and I'm like, they always got their pals with them, and I almost asked you, Art, if I could bring one of my dogs along with me today.
I would have been okay with that.
Bring some of my family, so these are here to comfort me, I suppose.
Well, in fact, if anybody knows me, somebody might say, did the cats do the show with him?
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never thought about that, but now that the idea has come up in my head, but I don't know that they're going to really be good over the air.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. I'd get a lot of maybe anxious dog whimpers in the background, and demands for attention while I'm talking to other people would be what happens.
Well, then they're just trying to help you feel good about however you're feeling.
Yeah.
We had a dog for many, many years. She passed away a couple of years ago, and all of these incredible memories we have, like our son literally falling asleep on top of her, and her looking at us like, I have to go outside and do that stuff that I do outside, but I can't move right now because that's going to wake him up.
Oh,
You just see it on her face. It's like, oh, sweetie, it's okay.
Yeah. It reminds me of a picture I've seen online of, I think it's, when you have to get up to go to the bathroom, but your cat's asleep on you, and it's just a picture of maybe some ancient Italian saint or something rotting away with a living cat sitting on her lap, his or her lap. So yes,
that is our regular debate. When we get home between Mrs. Dr. J and I, who cooks is often dependent on who does not have the cat sitting on their lap.
I can see this. Yeah.
But we're not just here to talk about these things. Megan is an amazing artist. Could you just kind of walk us through how you ended up in Dayton and how you ended up doing the artwork that you do?
Most definitely. So I've been in Dayton about 2 years now. Before that, I was living in Kansas, and before that, Colorado, but I am actually from Ohio originally. Spent several years up in Toledo, Ohio, and I'm from a very, very rural area, extreme northwest Ohio, called Stryker. Grew up on a farm, kind of traveled around for various reasons in my life, and find myself back in my home state. I do have family history down here. I think the way my family got down to this area originally was, one of those Erie Canal stories, I believe. A ancestor of mine was a doctor on the Erie Canal. So family ended up around St. Mary's, Ohio, and there are some Fielys up there still, and there are some Fielys down here as well. I never lived here. I always came down here to visit other family. My grandma and grandpa lived on Schroyer Road, up in Kettering, that sort of thing. So I had fond memories, and when I saw the opportunity to come back home, and my dad lives here in town, I thought Dayton was the perfect place to go. And was just surrounded with so many cool people immediately. I mean, within a month of arriving here, I already had a killer group of friends, was already being embraced by the arts community, by the music community. I really think there's nowhere else like this. And I'm sure people say that all the time. I've heard them say it on this show all the time, but I'm another believer in Dayton. So that's how I ended up here. Now, art, as the subject, not as your name.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, this is going to happen today, I think. Dr. J, I'll call you that when I address you. How about that? But I started with art probably, honestly, from the womb. Both of my parents are artists. I was raised with it. It would have been rebellious of me to go into business or something like that. And in that way was raised to practice art, started doing printmaking at a very young age, started painting at a very, very young age. So I don't really have your typical traditional schooling. I don't have a degree in art. I actually have a degree in history, of all things. But I did take some classes, but honestly, it just was introduced to me over and over through my life. I was surrounded with a community of people from the time I was a baby, You know, my parents were artists, my parents' friends were artists, so I've always kind of gravitated toward this type of group of people.
Yeah.
And was amazed to find it here with, boy, just hundreds of people in the group here in Dayton. So this is the place for me, and it's so accepted here. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, you're also a huge music fan.
Oh, yeah.
So for you, is like the visual art, the painting, and the other things that you do, is that connected to music in your mind?
Most definitely. You know, I wish I could say I was like Vasily Kandinsky or one of those artists that actually have synesthesia, which is that thing where, you know, you're actually seeing the sound. I try to have that. I try to think that way. I don't, you know, actually have that gift or disorder, depending on how you want to see it. But I always work with that. So yeah, I'm very influenced by music. I listen to music almost 100% of the time while I'm painting. It's often local music. Pretty much everything on this list I brought with me today, every single thing I guarantee I've listened to while painting. So a lot of local music has influenced me since I've been here, and I think honestly, we can owe that to how much better my work's gotten in the last couple of years since I've moved here. Just hearing that, but always before there. And of course, it's not all local. There are a lot of other things I listen to as well.
Sure.
But they are related.
I'm curious, your artwork is very kinetic.
Mm-hmm.
There's movement, whether it's explicit or implied. There's an energy, there's a kind of sense of movement, for lack of a better way to say it. And I'm curious, is that purposeful? Is that like you're translating the music maybe in terms of a sense of movement or rhythm?
Oh, totally. And you'll see that more, I would say, in my abstract works, which I didn't bring with me today. But I always tell people that's my abstract paintings, my non-figurative stuff is the stuff that a lot of that energy is going into. And if you were to see me painting that in the studio, it's a lot more violent and not in a nasty way, but a lot more kinetic of a process.
Right. Yeah.
It's athletic for me. I tell people I can't hang out after I'm done painting. I have to go take a shower because I actually feel kind of like I've been working out for several hours, that sort of thing. That's when I'm listening to music. And yeah, it's almost like a dance between me and the canvas at that time. Now, with my more controlled work, the figurative stuff I've been pushing myself to do lately, what I'm doing is then taking that abstract and translating it one step further and starting to add figurative, but still use the movement from my practice in abstract artwork to inform what I'm doing in figurative work. So I feel like that's maybe phase 2 of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing, I've been looking at quite a bit of your art, not just the representations you brought with you today.
Sure.
And it seems like there is a lot of kineticism. There's a lot of movement or rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that, where that comes from, it could be the music you're listening to, it could just be your vision, it could be, what you're trying to accomplish. Have you ever surprised yourself?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The surprises tend to be my larger paintings, and they're the ones where I've started with a specific idea in mind, and really by the end of it, and I try to take pictures through the process,
right, yeah,
something completely flips, and it does surprise me. Now, I can't really put my finger on what that is. Inspiration hits, or something comes to me, or honestly I see a collection of colors, and it just suddenly routes me in the right direction. A new album would do that for me too. Talking about some famous local music, I remember when the Breeders album came out last year, or now 2 years ago I suppose, and no, it was last year. And listening to that, and I was struggling with a painting, and through working with that album over and over, actually, it came out with this wonderful painting that I still have called City of Orbs, and it's purple and green and just dancing. And for some reason their magic is in there, and that surprised me. That's really interesting. So music can take you in a different direction while you're working on something? Totally. Yeah. And there have been times I've said I have to stop listening to this.
Honestly. Why do you say that?
I'm fighting between what I'm hearing and a failure to translate it correctly, or maybe the translation just doesn't come out as beautifully as I wanted it to. And I can't think of any specific names, and I certainly wouldn't name them if I could, of albums I had to stop listening to.
I can see where if you're going for a certain feeling or expression in a painting, and the songs on a record don't really fit that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
I can see where you're like, okay, I love this record, but I can't listen to it right now.
Absolutely.
And you move to something that
Completely.
fits,
Yeah.
fits the feeling you're going for.
Yeah, that would happen.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to your Tuesday afternoon alternative. We're here with artist Megan Fiely, who's going to give us the rundown on all the social media and her websites and the ways in which you can see some of her work and more importantly, maybe purchase it. And we'll be talking about all of her approach to artwork, her love of music. We have a curated playlist that she selected. So this next song comes courtesy of Megan via the New Old Fashioned. This is the title track to their Small Town Midwest USA record. Anything you want to say about this before we play it, Megan?
I chose this list, Everything You Hear, and the two songs you heard previously too, both, Salvador Ross and 1984 Draft, because at least one person in that group has shown me some extraordinary kindness, and that's most definitely true with, I'd say, everyone in the New Old Fashioned. They're just a great group of people. David Payne's been friendly to me since the get-go, and one of those people that within the first month or two of me being around was, welcoming and inviting me, and that was much appreciated. But then over the year or so that followed, I saw a lot of his music come out and change, and I feel like he's grown so much as an artist too recently. I mean, I'm just very impressed with them, so I'm happy to share it.
And we're out.
How's that?
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome. The problematic interview is when somebody says yes or yeah to a question.
Oh, no.
No,
sure.
you just keep doing what you're doing, Megan.
Okay, good.
Do not doubt that. Do not change that. But no. I remember when our show pivoted, David was among some early folks who came on the show. Tom Gilliam, and I'm trying to think who else. Joe Andrell came on the show early on. Kyle and Dawn of Smug Brothers, among other projects, of course. And honestly, everybody is so nice and had been kind to work with and to just hang out with as people or as professionals. Honestly, people will say, "Oh, well, every music scene has got something wrong with it," and I'm like, damn if I can find it.
And, I've lived in a lot of other cities. I've played music.
Yeah.
I've been
Do you
an
make
artist.
music?
Not anymore. No,
But you did in the past?
And that's something, I could actually reference on this show, is just kind of how I've learned to promote myself more like a musician than an artist.
I know, I see that in your approach.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a bad thing at all.
It seems more authentic to me. Not for everybody, but
Oh
me,
yeah, of course. Yeah. The problem is when we assume one size fits all.
Totally. Yeah, but I've never seen it so integrated as in this city, the different arts.
And that was something that really excited me about Yellow Cab, was the way that they started out thinking about themselves as a community space, not just a bar or not just a venue. And the way they've opened up to with the handmade, upcycle, artists and folks who are creating things, but then also the way they keep having these lovely showings with the visual art.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, using that small room pretty darn effectively, I think.
Oh yeah. It's great.
And it's not an afterthought, right? It's part of the whole experience.
It really is. And, on Thursday nights when they have
the showcase stuff.
Showcase,
Yeah.
I love when the art kind of works with that.
And I think there's a lot of thought put into that, which is wonderful. But yeah, folks from out of town will talk to me and they'll be like, "It can't be perfect," and I'm like, Well, I'm pretty okay with how it's working.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to go out and look for the flaws or the problems. And we've talked to a lot of bands over the years and a lot of musicians over the years, and everyone says the same thing about how supportive, how very much like a community it truly is.
The lack of snobbery here for
Isn't
the
that cool?
extreme amount
Isn't
of
that
talent.
cool?
Because I've lived in other towns where it's the other way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Less talent, more snobbery.
Minneapolis, I remember bands, unplugging each other's instruments because they see themselves as competing with each other, right? Or like I remember when my brother had his first showing at the Walker Arts Center, and there were literally people who accidentally bumped into things in an effort to try to knock them off the walls. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. That's terrible.
Isn't it? No, that's probably extreme. But just the fact that people would be so kind of ugly, I don't think that's competitive. I think that's something totally different.
Yeah. Non-support. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Not here.
Another incredibly nice person.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure I get a chance to say, I love you, Kylie.
Exactly. She is our friend.
Yes.
And we took all these pictures of. She didn't freak out on me when I brought Flower out. I'm like, when Tracy's not here, Flower's my co-host.
Aw, hi, Flower.
And so everybody knows Flower. Wait, I should not
Flower.
I should not cover over Megan.
No,
with
that's
Flower.
okay.
Yeah, the joke is always that Flower thinks that she can do it without me, and of course none of us doubt that. And it was funny. One of my students gave me that a few years ago, and I don't know why it was in my bag when I came in here, and I just left it in the studio, and so it's lived here for like 7 years.
Isn't it weird the things that with objects I think about, like I never expected to have this stupid piece of paper for 10 years, but here I keep finding it somewhere.
And I'd be sad if I came into the studio and she wasn't here.
Meanwhile, I can buy a new pair of earrings and one of them disappears in a week,
And you'd be like, oh, it's okay. It's just a thing. But yeah, isn't that funny? Well, it's like we were looking for some art to put into my music room, our music room, and Edge had this cool thing, like, we should make out a list of our favorite bands, and I'm like, I must have that. I don't know how much he wants for it, but I'll find the money. And he's another great guy, and I get the sense that I got a deal on it, even though I didn't ask for a deal on it, so we bought two.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, usually if you talk with people privately, they'll get you something.
Well, I mean, and I wasn't even asking for any consideration. It just shows, it speaks to what we're talking about with the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, it is really nice. Speaking of really nice, it's really kind of you to come in and do this.
Oh, thank you.
No, I really mean it.
I was honored. I am honored.
Oh, well, no. We're just having a great time. But we're trying this year, we did some last year, but not as much as we wanted to, of bringing in not just musicians, but bringing in other artists. Managed to bring in some folks doing some spoken word poetry and some other things last year.
Okay.
And I kept trying to bring in visual artists. And, people have busy lives. I don't mean to in any way speak out of turn, but being that the show is in the afternoon, it can be tough for some people. I totally respect that.
Totally true. And this is a little out of our comfort zone, honestly. I mean, radio appearances aren't typical for artists that often, visual artists. I love it. I would love to hear more. Yeah.
Well, Art Street is cool, and their investment in this applied creativity is a little more friendly to artists, I think. But I'll be honest about the parts of campus that don't feel friendly.
What I more meant was just being on the radio.
Oh, well, I mean, I took it to, well, if we want to talk about some things.
No, I love it here. This is completely comfortable. Yeah.
Well, this is the nicest studio I've worked in, because most studios, when you do radio, you're in like a closet. So to actually be part of this kind of space is super cool.
Yeah.
And to actually have artwork, outside as well as in the buildings around here. And you saw in the hallway, there's that element to this space which makes it different than other parts of campus, which I love. So I can walk out of St. Joseph's Hall, which is a traditional classroom kind of space, office space, and come down here and kind of use a different part of my brain. Oh, people are people asking questions? Oh, okay. I was worried. They love the behind-the-scenes banter. Thank you, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, Amber's watching. Hey, Amber. Hey, Mike. Hey, Chris.
Hi, Amber.
Hey, John. Hey, Chris again. Hey,
Chris,
Kat.
John.
Hey, Catherine. John. There's some names I don't know. Thank you, people.
Thanks, guys.
But yeah, it really is neat to have this opportunity to do stuff like this, right?
Yes.
And to go out to different shows and events and various artistic expressions on. Shoot, you could easily go out every day of the week.
Yeah. No, totally. The first summer I was here, I did.
Oh, did you really?
Pretty much.
Oh, geez.
It was wonderful. It was just what I needed at that point in my life, like just to have fun
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a few
yeah,
months.
yeah.
And man, this place did it for me. I mean, certainly now I've been here a while, and it feels more like home, and you start to see the cracks in the sidewalk, as it were. But man, I felt
Right.
like I was on vacation for the first, I don't know,
Excuse me.
3 or 4 months after I moved in. And not every night, but lots of nights. I was finding great things to do. Yeah. And I know they're still there. I just had to do this stuff sometimes.
Well, I was going to ask, is it okay to ask, like, if you paint every day and think on air? Is
all
that okay?
that stuff, yeah.
Okay. Well, I always feel like that feels like almost like I'm getting, kind of...
Value judgment.
Yeah. Thank you. I wasn't quite sure how to say that and not
Yeah.
sound like a jerk. I'm not passing any judgment. I don't teach every day. And I appreciate that time when I do other things or grade or what have you. But I didn't want to be pushy
No, that's
about it. So it's
fine.
okay to ask about that.
Totally. Yeah.
And I hope, Amber, I hope we answered your question okay. Well, favorites, I think you covered that too. Like, you paint to music, you listen to a lot of local music. So I'll ask, Robert's question is good. What artists inspire you? Music or otherwise? Do you take inspiration from music? You answered that.
Yeah.
Does music shape your art? You definitely answered that.
Totally.
So there you go, Sam. Themes. That's a good question. So I'll ask you about like your process, and do you paint every day? Are there some themes you pursue, or
That's a great question.
is that okay?
Yeah, that'll be, yeah.
So go in about 10 seconds, give or take.
Okay.
Oh, hey, new people. Hey,
Hi,
Steve.
new people.
Cricket Bows here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative on WUDR Dayton. A rock in the Gem City, music in all directions. Support your local music scene. We're here with our good friend Megan Fiely, who is an amazing artist. And if you check out the Facebook stream and some of the pictures that we'll post on the websites later, you can see some of her fantastic art. And of course, we'll have the link, or links, I should say, to all of her social media and things like that. In addition to Cricket Bows, you also heard the amazing Kylene Downs.
Oh, I love you, Kylene.
I am so happy to be able to say that. I don't know if people can feel or hear the smile on my face when I start to talk about Kylene. She's just one of the nicest people. She's amazing.
Infectiously friendly.
Seriously, if we could bottle what she has and send it out, I think we could solve a lot of problems.
Well, she does have an excellent album. That's bottled
There you
Kylene
go.
energy
There you go.
for sure. I feel that when I listen to it.
So you feel kind of her infectious energy?
How can you not?
Okay, fair
Yeah. I
That's
hope
very-
everyone does.
And of course, we started off with the New Old Fashioned, who played a fantastic set this weekend at the Yellow Cab Tavern.
I was there too.
So we've got some questions that people have been sending in, but if you have other questions, we will check out our Twitter stream, DRJYTA. Dr. J, Your Tuesday Afternoon Alternative. You just kind of mash that together. Facebook, Your Tuesday Afternoon Alternative. We've got a live stream going. If you've got questions, just please share those with us. Megan has been very kind with her time here. And thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
So I'm just curious, do you paint every day?
Almost every day. I'm going to say 5 of 7 days a week. You know, this is what I'm doing full time at this point, and I try to treat it that way. It's not a 9 to 5 though. Some of those are all-nighters. I'm definitely one of those people that might be up at 3 a.m. painting. And I allow myself to do that. It just seems like the creativity flows at that time. So yeah, I sometimes paint at the studio. I have a studio up on Kiwi.
Oh yeah.
Kind of close to where the Slovak is.
Oh,
and I also paint at home sometimes, especially when I'm working on those littler works that I do, like the animals and stuff. I tend to just, that's when it's snowy out. Like I got a lot of those done when we had the deep freeze last week.
Yeah.
I stayed in, put on nature shows on mute on the television.
I love that.
And music on, and was just sitting on the couch painting. So yeah, I do paint every day. I kind of switch up the way I'm doing it though. Keep it interesting.
So do you feel drawn to paint in the evening as opposed to during the day?
Most definitely.
Oh.
Yeah. That's not to say I won't paint during the day. Usually if it's during the day, it's because I'm thinking about something I worked on the night before, and I'm like, I just got to go home and fix that detail, or, you know, I sit and stare at things. I'll be talking to a friend or hanging out with Daniel after work or that sort of thing, and just be like, I'm going to grab the paintbrush. So, yeah, mostly during the night as a job, but that's not to say there won't be a paintbrush in my hand during the day.
Oh, of course. I'm also curious, what artists inspire you to paint?
You know, lately I've been really feeling the joy of Marc Chagall's paintings. I don't know if you're too familiar with him. The animals, the happiness, just the love you feel pouring out of his work is something I've been trying to channel specifically lately. I love Georgia O'Keeffe. Who can't? I relate to her in a lot of ways. I definitely have that independent kind of opinionated spirit, and she's a role model for me, not only in the gorgeous work that she does and her use of light and her use of form, but also the example she set and the life she led. And maybe someday I can live in New Mexico on her ranch too if I get lucky. That would be great.
That sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, that's another, she's a great inspiration. And then, even though I wouldn't call myself an abstract expressionist, just across the board, that movement and that energy and that work is great. The Joan Mitchell painting over at the Dayton Art Institute, not Joni, though she's a painter as well, but Joan. Is probably the best painting there, and I've been visiting it about weekly lately.
Is that something you do as part of your process, to go to museums or galleries or things like that, see what other people are creating?
Yeah. I go to museums, honestly. I go there to humble myself sometimes.
I think you're being unduly hard on yourself.
No, I mean, to educate, to remember there's a whole body of work out here, always be looking at something else. But I really do, after I've finished what I consider a masterpiece, I try to get to the museum within a few days afterwards so that I can keep getting new ideas. As far as being out in the community at galleries, absolutely. I have to go and meet others, be inspired, find people to collaborate with, find people that can help you, find people I can help. I mean, that's another amazing community here. I've talked a lot about music today because, we're on the radio, it's a music show, but the art scene as far as visual artists here is every bit as rich.
Oh, agreed. Whether you're talking photography or painting or collage or, I'm going to start to reveal my limited vocabulary, so I should stop.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine.
No, I'm teasing you. But all the different visual art that we see, I'm just amazed at the people who create amazing posters for different shows and events, let alone, the painting or the sculpture or the collage or,
Oh yeah.
it's just remarkable.
Collage specifically, I feel like that's a very niche thing to Dayton. I'm not sure why, but there are some great
I wondered
collage
about
artists
that.
here.
Isn't there?
Yeah, Wendy Wagner Harris.
Uh-huh.
She did the cover for Neo-American Pioneers. I know her. She's wonderful, and just what she's able to do with taking apart other people's images and
Isn't that
reassembling them
amazing?
is way cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a fair number of her pieces, and I'm just like, I never would have thought to do that. The way she can deconstruct and reconstruct images is fantastic. And like you said, create something entirely new. Right? And that's just one example.
And that's definitely inspired me too.
Yeah.
I do work some collage in different ways into my
thought you
paintings
did.
now. Yeah. In my own way. Yeah.
Now, I'm also curious, and please tell me if I'm way off base here. There seems to be a real joy in some of your work, and a fair amount of your work. Because take the two pictures behind you. It seems like everybody's smiling.
Oh yeah.
Now, is that purposeful?
Absolutely. Artists always serve one purpose or another, and I think those evolve over the years for the artist, but based on what they're going through, based on where the world is. There have been different statements I've been trying to make at different points in my life, but right now, really just sharing joy and spreading joy is what I do. And it cheers me up too. I mean, I struggle in our current society the way everyone else does. I do come across as very happy, and I am very happy. Don't get me wrong. However, it's an effort, and I'm consciously making that effort to feel this way. And my art is my way of consciously making that effort to make other people feel that way. So that's my purpose right now as an artist.
Do you think you have a particular style?
I have a few. I mean, it's nice that I feel like there's always a common thread, and I would hope that people can tell when they look at my art that it's mine. I don't know what I would label my style. Sometimes I feel like a little bit of a surrealist lately, and would love to go further in that direction, honestly. Definitely an abstract artist. I do some caricature stuff. Some of it is honestly just cute, and I'm okay with that too, because I'm bringing my artistry into that. So I have a style, but colorful, textural, joyful, but I'm not sure it fits into an established category.
Right. There's not a good
There's
label.
not a title
Yeah.
per se, and that's okay.
Well, yeah, those get to be somewhat problematic when people are putting 4 or 5 words together.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5 labels together to try to say, oh, we're, or this is, right? As
And I've
opposed
only
to just,
and I've only been thinking about that lately too. So I'm not really sure where I put myself exactly.
well, and it does raise that question of just experiencing something, right? You don't necessarily have to slap a label on it.
No.
Although that seems to be pretty popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's our tendency to try to. Sure, you want to put words to things, defining things.
That makes sense. We're going to jump back to some music again, curated by Megan. But before we do that, do you have websites and social media that we can direct people to?
Oh, absolutely. So, I am mainly doing business like with my art that is for sale online through Etsy right now. So that's meganfielyart.etsy.com. And, you can go and see most of what I'm doing there. However, I would also strongly encourage people to follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm putting little candid shots of, look what I'm trying to do right now. Here's a video of me, whatever, sketching. I share a lot more on there, and you're going to get more of the experience of not just where to buy my art, but what this is all about with that. So that's just Megan Fiely Art, on Instagram. Welcome to send me requests on Facebook as well. I'm on there, but those would be the 2 places I would mainly send people. And as a medium, Instagram has just been wonderful for visual arts. And
That's what I was thinking while you were talking about that. The match there seems perfect.
yeah, I like that it's an opportunity to communicate in not strictly visual medium, but a lot more strongly than the Facebooks. There's a lot of words there. There's a lot more argument there, though it certainly happens other places. I like somewhere where the focus of what I'm sharing is an image. So I tend to do a lot there.
So we're going to start off with the Boxcar Suite. Anything you want to say about Consider the Dragon?
I love dragons, first of all, and as I was putting together this list and thinking about the bands I love, I did try to go with the ones that maybe had a little bit of an animal or character feel to them.
Okay.
Or
okay.
ones that are somehow artistic, like, you know, if we jump a little further, well, I mean, just look at the titles we have coming up. Alternate
Right.
Universe, what's, you know, that. Octobilly Rocktopus by my friends Cherry Lee and the Hot Rod Hounds is, you know, a fun creature, and definitely I have a personal connection to that. Pose by Harold, very artsy,
Yeah.
very nice theme, keep holding that pose. But with Consider the Dragon, honestly, I have considered painting dragons, and I have, so this one's just fun for me, and again, I love the guys in this band.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you.
And seriously, again, super nice guys. I'm sorry. If you're waiting for me to say these people are horrible, I don't do that.
No.
And I that's something we were talking about. There does seem to be, like, not just with the color, but like the texture and the layers, as well as the smiles. There just seems to be, like, joy just seems to erupt from the work. And I'm glad that worked into the conversation, because I was so worried that I was way off base with that. Your work just, if nothing else, if someone looked at it and had no aesthetic sensibility, oh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And while we would hope folks would go a little deeper than that, there's no shame in wanting a little more joy in life.
I remember when I had my show up at Yellow Cab, they have that Tai Chi class in there.
Oh, right. Did Nelson do that, or was that someone else?
Yes, it was Nelson, I believe. And
Another sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the comment being made that the energy is just coming off of the paintings, and that was so
right. I bet.
helpful with the chi
yeah.
of the room and that sort of thing. And I was like, well, that's a great confirmation that I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
Thank
You got what you wanted.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So I won't ask on air. Have you ever painted something where you're like, oh, no one can ever see this. This is not what I meant. Have you ever felt like disappointed, or, you know, like oh, I'm trying to think. You know, there's so many of it. The idea of like the not struggling artist, but the tortured artist who, like, I can't capture what I'm trying to capture, and they struggle with that, right? I mean,
I'm comfortable putting a painting away for a long time. Just recently I finished a lot that had been sitting for 10 months.
oh wow.
Maybe.
Okay.
And I had faced them the other way in the studio, wasn't even looking at them. And once I started working figuratively again, I pulled these out and looked at them, and I was like, what do I see here? What can I incorporate? And these became some really great paintings, and actually almost every one of them I did that with sold really fast too. So
interesting.
I don't lose sleep over it if I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I maybe
What a
used
healthy
to.
attitude to have.
I think I used to more. Yeah.
It's something in my line of work. It takes so long to see an article come out, or to see fruition of something that you wrote. I don't mean to compare, because what you're doing is very qualitatively different than what someone like myself is doing. But I'm always. We just cleaned out our basement, and I found like 5 articles that I was so disappointed in. I threw in a box, and they've sat in a box for, like, it's scary, 7-8 years. I'm like, well, this is an interesting idea. Why didn't I fix this?
Yeah. I think I'm also learning not to let every painting go too. I mean,
Oh.
yesterday
Yeah.
I was looking at a painting from 2003. I actually shared that online, and I didn't think anything of it till recently, and now I'm enough of a different person from who I was back then. Still same person that I can look at it and be like, look at where I was in my development right there, and actually appreciate it more. So I'm trying to hold on to things.
That's really
over the
interesting.
years.
We'll have to ask about that on air, but how you've changed over time as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean the mechanics, right? But like you're saying, being able to see something different in a work that you finished. What was that, 15 years ago?
I guess, yeah.
You said 2003?
Yeah.
Wow, so that's a, here I'm complaining about 7-8 years. Shut up, Gibson. That's a long time to set something aside and then come back to it and then being able to see something really interesting in that.
Right, and I'm not working on that one.
Right,
I was looking at it and appreciating it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit that I'm terribly sad that they broke up. and then of course there's that part of me that always wants to say, is everybody okay? Can I bring you like some cookies or tea or something?
Agreed.
It's been a long time since I did artistic pursuits like that, but when things broke up, I was so sad for so long.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you're saying goodbye to a part of yourself.
Most definitely. It's necessary and it's part of the process, though.
Again, a very
Nothing
optimist.
lasts forever.
You are an optimist. I love it.
I don't know.
No, we need, oh gosh, like you said, looking at the current situation in the world right now, we gotta take joy and optimism and fun and kindness wherever we can find them.
Encourage others to be kind too.
Forgive me, I'm gonna jump in front of things because I think it's time to do that.
Okay.
Look at this fine work, people. How long did it take you to do something like that?
Oh, that one. Actually, now that you ask, that was one of my faster paintings.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, so they really do vary quite a bit.
Some I struggle with more, and I'm really working out a style. And what tends to happen is once I do that with one, that painting kind of has babies afterward.
Oh, really?
And I make 3 or 4 more that are kind of in that same thematic, and they tend to go faster.
Okay.
They're strong still, but they aren't the ones that the blood, sweat, and tears went into so much. Yeah. So this one I think I painted overnight.
Seriously?
About a month ago. Yeah. And
I know
again,
jealousy is an evil emotion to have, but damn.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's impressive. How long did it take to do the aliens?
This is one that had toil.
Okay, because I'm curious about that, because I'm not to say that one is better than the other, because to me they're profoundly different.
Yes.
But there seems to be a texture here that the Rams doesn't have. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that was by design, but yeah. It is a good point that if you see paint that, if you rub it,
right.
There's a good chance that's one that has 40, 50 hours of work in
Oh,
it.
that's frightening for me to think about.
Yeah, and whereas this one might be, I don't know, we'll call it 7, maybe. I don't know.
Wow, that's impressive. That, of course, I suppose, with many different forms of art, there are things that come quickly and things that don't come as quickly.
And it's not maybe that I was struggling to the point that I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I could even compare that to, honestly. This is just one where I was starting a new idea.
Well, I mean, there's form and shading on the alien. I'm just referring to it as the alien picture, so
That's
forgive
fine.
me. If it has a name, please tell me.
It's called The Dance.
Oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
So, in the dance here, you see shading and with the paint strokes, almost like a glycerine, like a kind of listing. Whereas with the Rams, I don't see that as much.
Yes. It's that same kind of shiny
It
paint,
looks
and I
almost more like
love.
muscular. The Rams are, or the painting as a whole. Whereas this has texture
Yes.
that's more subtle.
Delicate.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not I'm not totally way off base here.
No, you're right.
But it's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I especially like the fact that there's less definition in the face.
Yeah.
So that you can kind of put yourself into it.
You can, and you can see their emotion, but not necessarily, who they are.
Because I'm wondering, okay, why is this individual shy? Like they're having to pull that person into
Isn't
the
it
dance.
funny too?
Whereas the other three, I think are I feel like, okay, the people on Facebook are like, we can't see it.
Yeah.
Like
These two are definitely more comfortable.
yes, yeah. Whereas it almost seems like the two on the right end, are like, we're okay with the dance, but they're being pulled into the experience.
Definitely. Yeah, she's like, I'll wear my gaucho pants.
Yes. Which seems like it's different than the other one has a dress.
Yeah.
So you have that level too, but to be able to capture that's pretty fantastic in my opinion.
I feel that too. That form, I actually kind of took this from a classical painting
Oh, really?
by a French classical painter named Poussin.
Oh, okay.
And in that one, there's a fifth figure, and I just didn't like the balance when I had all five of them sketched in.
Sure.
So that became some planets, but I actually based it on a classical painting, and I'm interested in doing that with some more aliens.
Oh, that would be cool.
My own interpretation, kind of using the form and balance.
Yeah.
From something
nice.
older.
Well, if I had any suggestions, it would be please do a Doctor Who series.
Oh, I'd love to.
Because I need to know if you do, and then I need to know when they're done, so that I can stop by and maybe buy a couple.
I like this idea. Yeah, it's definitely.
It's purely self-serving on my part.
It's definitely in my realm of things, and I'm a big Doctor Who fan myself too.
And I thought Jodie Whittaker was an inspired choice.
Yeah. She grew on me. Yeah.
She was a little overly kinetic in the first couple of episodes, but I also think that some of that has more to do with the writing. They weren't sure what to do.
New writer. And if you look at the other Doctors, the first few episodes are that way
rough.
too. They're really trying to prove themselves.
Exactly.
They have to convince the audience that this is the same person but a different person. All of that. So.
Well, I remember not until I was like, I do not like Matt Smith. I do not,
Mm-hmm.
And then by the third episode, I'm like, I love Matt Smith. I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it might be, the actor felt more comfortable in the role. The writing, I think, went way up.
It got very good.
And relatively fast, right? Third episode, I'm hooked. Mm-hmm. And I was a huge David Tennant fan.
Yeah.
But then again, my Doctor Who is going back to the 1970s, which, I'm thinking about people like Tom Baker.
Yeah. The classics.
Yeah, the long scarf, and I love the long scarf.
Yeah.
Even if the special effects left a lot to be desired.
Yes. Well, that's the camp of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
but see, I love that. I love just the joy. Alternating between joy and sadness, I guess would be the way to think about it. But when it pursued joy wholeheartedly, right? But yeah, I'm always since I was a kid watching Doctor Who on PBS. I have been a Doctor Who fan. So just think of it as just a friendly suggestion.
Okay, I will. It's in there now. It'll come out in one way or another, I'm sure. And honestly, I thought about it before.
Yeah. Just add to my collection of different obscure things.
Nice.
I've got a few other people who painted like the TARDIS or a sonic screwdriver. It is. I have this idea for a tattoo of like a small TARDIS with the door open, and then the silhouette is one of my dear cats who passed away. We called him Mr. Sophie.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
And that he's either sitting on or like he's. Next to him is like a sonic screwdriver. But then I'm like, but I don't want it to be too large. But I'm thinking what I just sketched out sounds kind of large, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I need to talk with Chad Wells about this. Chad.
He's your guy.
He's my guy. Whether he does it and he'll know which artist should do something
That's important.
like that. Yeah.
And I always like with tattoos to
But
go
his work
to
is
them.
so good.
and
Talk about
have-
artists.
Oh yeah.
His work is amazing.
That thing he's doing with the origins of soul or something.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
seen-
yeah.